Hi, everyone. Welcome to Mini Scroll, the daily internet culture podcast bringing you the biggest stories from social media, the creator economy, and the digital space every Monday through Thursday and sometimes Fridays. I'm your host, Lauren Meisner, the founder of the youth digital media brand, Centennial World. Welcome back to Mini Scroll, everyone. I have revived. I have risen from my horrific sinus infection that I had. I mean, I could tell I was coming down on Friday. I think I said that on the pod. And then Saturday, it just hit me full force and I was down for the count for 4 straight days. I'm so sorry that I missed Monday and Tuesday. I hate missing Mini when it's not planned. I hate feeling like flaky, like I flaked on you guys. So I'm really sorry, but I am back. I am revived. I am recovered. And let's get into Mini today. Oh, also, I think Annabelle put this in the community notes on YouTube, but in case you didn't see it, I'm going to have a Mini today. I'm also going to have a Mini tomorrow. And then I do have a deep dive going up. It's an interview with my friend Cam and his co-author Ariel on their new book, which is called Conspiracy Nation. And it's all about conspiracy theories, why different people fall down these pipelines, what we can take away from it. So it's a really interesting interview. So that's going to be our deep dive going up tomorrow. But I will also have a mini scroll going up for you guys tomorrow to say sorry for missing Monday and Tuesday. Okay, the first story that I have for you guys is I'm going to be talking about everything going on with Bama Rush and Izzy Darnell. So I am sure that you guys are familiar with Bama Rush and the Darnell family. I actually talked about Kylan Darnell and how she was not going to be doing Rush and sorority life. I was going to say in season 4, in her senior year. Okay, I'm sorry. I am like, so while I was sick, all I did was binge Narcos. I've never seen Narcos, but I love like that kind of vibe. Like I love a gritty drama. I'm so interested in like closed communities that feel like they operate above the law and have their own like parameters and rules and regulations. That's why I'm also really into Mormonism. So anyways, I was so into Narcos. Right now my brain is just rotted into thinking about everything in seasons because I'm like, oh, I'm in the middle of season 2 and I only have season 3 left. And then I know that there's Narcos Mexico. Anyways, if you guys have seen Narcos, let me know because I'm obsessed and I want any chance to talk about it. But yes, Kylan was not returning to sorority life for her 4th year, her senior year of college. And so her little sister, Izzy, now there's some stuff going on with her and Bama Rush. So Kylan has a younger sister, Izzy, who has gone pretty viral on TikTok. One of her most iconic moments was when she like quote unquote fell into the pool while she was getting ready for her prom. I am sure a lot of you guys have seen this video. She is known for being a lot more chaotic than Kylan, and people thought that when they saw her starting to rush, okay, like she actually might not get into a house because she's quite polarizing online. There's, I guess, a lot of rules about how sorority girls and PNMs can post online. For example, they can't post with alcohol in some sororities. So people had questions about if Izzy would get in regardless. So yeah, Izzy started going super viral earlier this month for sharing her outfits of the day, just like Kylan going into Rush, but the comments were overwhelmingly negative. People kept saying that she wasn't taking Rush seriously, and there was just like a lot of criticism around how she was presenting herself around Rush. This spawned a bunch of different, I don't want to say conspiracy theories, but just like, I guess, discussion points or questions around Izzy around this time. So first, many social media users were not even convinced that Izzy was attending the University of Alabama, let alone rushing. This was because Izzy was never spotted filming in what seemed to be a dorm, and it is generally required, I guess, at Bama for freshmen to live on campus. Second, assuming that Izzy was, in fact, attending the University of Alabama, social media users were sad that she didn't attend UMiami, claiming that she could have been the next Alex Earl. So that was like another piece of criticism that was like going on in her comments. And third, some viewers questioned whether all of Izzy's outfits of the day, get ready with me's, were pre-recorded and claimed that she was faking the rush process for views. And then perhaps most damning, I guess she used to start her videos like, hey girlfriends, and then now during Rush, she started saying, hey fools. So people were like, is that a hint that she is like trolling us? So it seems like all the questions were answered when she posted a video toward the end of last week. Instead of sharing her outfit of the day, Izzy was standing on a beach. She was handed an envelope that had her name on it before ripping it up and throwing it in the water. And the text on screen read, haha, fooled y'all again, along with the caption, little do you know I dropped first. So this video was poking fun at bid day, which is the day that students receive an invitation to join a specific sorority. And the caption referenced the rumors that Izzy had been dropped by different sororities, including Zeta, I don't know. Zeta, sorry. So now Izzy has gone on to address her Bama Rush experience in a Get Ready With Me. In the video, she shared that she went into Rush with the full intention to join a sorority, but she later came to the conclusion that it just wasn't for her. She also ended up speaking out about the rumors that Zeta had dropped her. Izzy clarified that she placed Zeta in her bottom 3 preferences because she, quote, didn't want to be Kylan. On top of this, she didn't want to take a spot from someone who truly wanted Zeta. She also added her concerns about adhering to the sorority rules while posting on social media, admitting that it was something that she was not so sure she could easily do. Now, Izzy and Kylan's mom, who also has a TikTok presence and has been very divisive and has been kind of like starting shit for her daughters. I don't think it's on purpose, but I don't think she necessarily cares, it seems. So she's fueling a lot of rumors, I guess, around her daughters right now based on stuff she's posting. So she also spoke out about the situation. In the video, her mom confirmed that Izzy actually did Rush, but she admitted that she wasn't quite sure about the process the whole time. You know, I think Rush Talk was really fun in the earlier years. Like when it really popped off, it was like 2021, 2022, right? And that was kind of the first time that we got to see something like that documented, because it's also kind of frowned upon to document, you know, but like that was really the first time that I think people around the world, or people who just like didn't go to college or didn't do the sorority Rush experience at all, got like a peek, a glimpse into what it's actually like outside of movies and stuff, right? And that was like really exciting. But I actually feel like the moment for Rush Talk has kind of ended. We understand how it goes. It's realistically not as interesting as I think people thought it might be. We understand the type of girl that gets in. We can spot, when we're following Rush Talk, we can spot, oh, fuck, that girl's not going to get chosen, you know? And it's always for the same reason. It is such a shitty system sometimes. And yeah, I just feel like in general, the moment for Rush Talk is over. And I definitely think the fact that Kylan and now Izzy, who were like, I mean, Kylan was like literally like the Rush Talk girl for so long, has left sorority life for her final year. I think it's possible we will see the reins being pulled in tighter and tighter around these girls that want to have internet presences while also being in sororities. I think eventually those reins will have to loosen, but I think for the first little while, they'll try and pull them in tighter and say, like, you cannot post this. Because, you know, one of the major kind of theories around Kylan stepping away from sorority life in her final year is because she was, like, asked to because of her online presence and how divisive that can be and the controversies around her sometimes. And, like, that just goes with being on the internet, obviously. I think in general, it's just another example of how an industry, in this case, Greek life, was just not ready for TikTok and the influence, the impact that TikTok would have on their industry. Okay, the next story that I have for you guys is I'm going to break down the drama scandal between the BFFs podcast and Oscar Gracie from Just Trish. So this all started after Josh Richards and Brianna Chicken Fry from the BFFs podcast were asked to interview Adam Sandler for Happy Gilmore 2. Oscar was asked to react to the interview while live streaming. Oscar has a background in entertainment journalism, and in the stream, he questioned why Brianna and Josh got to interview Adam Sandler in the first place, saying that it felt kind of random. Brianna and Josh later reacted to Oscar's comments, and Trish was kind of grouped in there, Trisha Paytas, even though she didn't really say anything about the interview, but, you know, Oscar is the producer. I think, is that what he is? Is he the producer? I think he's her producer of the Just Trish podcast. In their reaction, they questioned why the Just Trish podcast is always talking about them and the BFFs podcast, especially because they rarely respond. And now Trisha and Oscar have gone on to respond to their response. So Trisha spoke about how it can be triggering to be caught up in this drama, especially with Brianna, given that she has body shamed Trisha at one point. If you guys don't remember, a video of Barstool employees started circulating of them reacting to Trisha Paytas's OnlyFans. This was like a few years ago, and Brianna was in this, and she was sharing the video with her colleagues. Trisha also added that she has been trying to be supportive of Brianna recently, given everything that's gone down with Zach Bryan. Oscar went on to say that he didn't really want to talk about this, but he couldn't look past the way that Brianna made a, quote, casually homophobic remark where she implied that Oscar was being shady toward Josh because he has a crush on him. Oscar also doubled down on the fact that he is not an influencer. The live stream where he made his comments was just for fun and also only had around 600 people watching. This left him further confused about the intensity of their response. And then on top of this, Oscar could also not understand why they would assume that he was jealous of BFFs for the interview. He was basically like, I have a very successful entertainment journalism career producing celebrity interviews. He flexed his Emmy that he has for producing celebrity interviews. So he was saying his criticism mostly came from like working in media, that perspective. Okay, so a couple things. I don't totally agree that Oscar is not an influencer. I understand he does not brand himself as that and he would not consider himself that, but he is. Like, whether you are, posting on Instagram as your full-time job hawking product, making TikToks with the Creator Fund, or you are sitting as a producer, as a co-host/producer on Trisha Paytas's podcast and have a really big platform off the back of that too. I'm not saying that he didn't have a big career, a big platform prior to Trish. That's obviously partly how he got hired by Trish. But regardless, like being in Trisha's universe now, being on her podcast every week, like that has obviously increased his influence. I do think he is kind of an influencer now. He is no longer behind the scenes. Like if I asked any given person who was like really into internet culture, if they know who Oscar from Just Trish is, they would probably say yes. So I do think more people are paying attention to him maybe than he realizes. But also, like, we all have been talking about, not BFFs. We don't talk about BFFs anymore. I don't talk about Josh Richards, but like pop culture, internet culture reporting talks about Brianna Chicken Fry a lot. All of us do, because she is constantly making news. Like, there's constantly stuff going on. They literally acknowledged that on the BFFs podcast last year when she broke up with Zach, and they did a whole episode, and I remember Dave and Josh both were talking about with her how like it's so bizarre that essentially the like pop culture, internet culture news that they want to cover every week on BFFs, like Brianna's at the center of so much of it. So like that's why Trish and Oscar are talking about BFFs and talking about Brianna. I don't know if they're ever talking about Josh Richards, but yeah. And I do like that Oscar stood up for himself and said, what you said about me having a crush on Josh Richards is like casually homophobic, because it absolutely is. But yeah, that's the feud between these two very popular podcasts right now. Okay, the last thing that I wanted to talk about, the last story I have for you guys, is we need to talk about what's going on in the LAInfluencerSnark subreddit. So if you are unfamiliar with the r/LAInfluencerSnark subreddit, it is a very famous snark subreddit for basically any influencer who lives in LA. It currently has over 175,000 members, and it started in 2022. This all started like 3 weeks ago when a mod named RiceMilk99X shared a post titled "The Future" to the subreddit. It was a screenshot of a statement referencing an article by The Cut that put forth less than favorable views of the subreddit. The statement read, earlier this year, The Cut published a scathing piece on LAInfluencerSnark, painting our members as bitter, parasocial, and envious of the glossy influencer world. It's a lazy take that ignores the lines we draw between deserved criticism and cruelty. That narrative won't define the next era for LAInfluencerSnark. In the coming weeks, we'll be rolling out changes to reflect who we are and who we want to be. And then about a week later, the mods shared another update. This post was called The Reset. It announced a new look for the subreddit, and then there was also a whole list of new rules and posting guidelines. This included rules like we don't shame, we don't label, we don't diagnose, and more, which is great. Like, those are really good changes. However, from posts by users talking about the changes, it seemed that the users couldn't even use the word snark on the subreddit anymore. And people were like, this is weird that you're blocking users for using the subreddit for what it is intended for, which is snark. And then other posts by the mods said that the subreddit was opening mod applications for upcoming projects, which included a very interesting list of qualifications. So this post seems to be deleted, but someone did screenshot it and post it in a different Snark Reddit. According to the post, applicants had to be between the ages of 20 and 25. That is something that many people found to be very weird, because that is like a blatant age discrimination, which is like illegal, I think, in most countries. Also, 20 to 25, I understand that's probably when you are entrenched the most, maybe, in like celebrity culture, the most interested in that, chronically online culture, but you also don't have a fully formed frontal lobe yet. Another qualification included being willing to participate in podcast-style episodes with other mods. And that raised alarm bells for a lot of users. Ultimately, all of these changes led people to believe that maybe the subreddit was being bought out by someone. A post on the r/subreddit drama summarized why this started circulating, pointing to the fact that the mod who was posting about all of these changes was only 54 days old, like their account. Quote, the new mod's Rice Milk 99X account is 54 days old. It has no post or comment history. No new posts have been approved since yesterday. Snarkers took their discussion to the New York counterpart, r/NYC InfluencerSnark, with a post titled LA InfluencerSnark Downfall. So there's speculation that the new mod is like an insider of sorts, like this rice, what is it? I was gonna say rice gum, rice milk. Rice gum is a streamer. This rice milk person is an insider of sorts, someone who is like trying to limit the discourse that goes on in the subreddit. According to this post, some users believe it's influencer Lily Chi. However, there's also a lot of speculation that it's not Lily Chi. It's actually just like a man who's a fan of Lily Chi, who's like obsessed with Lily Chi, and that all his posts around her have been deleted. And then one mod, alleged mod, shared their side of the story on another Snark Reddit, saying that she had to take a step back from the subreddit for her mental health. It all came to a head when the current mod pulled a manic toddler-like meltdown when we tried to bring in new mods, which is when me and the only other mod decided to both step away and give him the sub. We both deleted our accounts, and he modded the sub by himself on multiple accounts thereafter. Obviously, I can't know for sure, but I'm pretty certain the newest account is just him on a third account. Towards the end of our modding, he had a habit of using alternate accounts to argue with users, so I'm not surprised to read that he's now deleting comments and posts that don't fit his ideology. So obviously, if that is true, I guess it explains why this mod, Rice Milk, is only 54 days old. If it's like just this mod who just creates new accounts, that's why the account is so new. Anyway, it doesn't seem like we have an answer yet on what is happening with LA InfluencerSnark, but it is clear that users are not happy with the changes. The mods have made some modifications to try and appeal to the user base, and they have since issued a statement reading, "We want to thank the community for their feedback over the past day. Conversations have been ongoing, and we've been reflecting deeply on the direction of LA InfluencerSnark and how our intent has been received. The last few weeks have been very difficult for everyone, and we know many of you have felt unseen, confused, and even frustrated by the recent changes. It sparked discussion, but our hope now is to move forward with more transparency and mutual trust. The reset was always rooted in a desire to elevate LA InfluencerSnark, never for personal or financial gain, which is why we're shelving the LA InfluencerSnark podcast and the other side projects for the foreseeable future. We also want to make it unequivocally clear, no one on our team has any affiliation with the influencers discussed on this forum. We've never used personal relationships to protect anyone or suppress content, nor were there any plans to monetize the community through sponsorships, partnerships, or merch. Any narrative that suggests otherwise is baseless speculation, period. Let's wipe the slate clean and begin again." This is so fascinating to me. Like, drama, subreddit drama is so fascinating because the point of this subreddit, obviously, is to talk about influencer drama and to snark on influencers. And when closed communities end up turning on each other, fascinating. I feel like that is tale as old as time on the internet, but it's so interesting. I do think the more mainstream spotlight on snark culture that we've seen just in the last 12 months has really spun these communities out of control. I talked about it with Tattle Life, but when that whole lawsuit situation happened, and then for weeks after, the Tattle Life subreddit was just filled with people being like, how do I delete my account? I'm really worried that my identity is going to get exposed, XYZ. It seems like from what I can see, it's making people who are heavily engaged in these communities question if they should be. Not that they are justified or not justified in being part of these communities and doing what they're doing. If you are really involved in snarking, I imagine it's probably hard to change your mind that what you're doing is bullying or not productive. I think a lot of people make excuses for themselves to justify their behavior and what they're posting online anonymously. But regardless, I wonder if it's going to have more of a lasting impact on these communities in general and how people interact with snark, where they maybe are more cautious. I don't know. Anyways, guys, that's it for Mini Scroll today. Thank you so much for listening. Please remember to rate, review, and subscribe. Please buy us a coffee if you want to support us and help keep us going. I love you guys, and I will talk to you guys tomorrow for Mini and also a deep dive. Bye.